Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're here from UC Santa Barbara for the next hour, and we will be answering your questions through College Week Live. My name's Talia. I'm a third-year student here at UCSB with a double major in political science and global studies. I'm originally from the East Bay area, so not too far, Northern California.
And my name is Michael Aiken. I am a fourth-year political science major. I'm from Fontana, California, in the Inland Empire, so it's nice to be up here where the weather is nice instead of being back home where it's a little too hot. But we are going to answer your questions for the next hour, so let's get started.
Yeah, and feel free at any point to type in, ask any questions you have. If there are no questions, we will feel free to talk about our own experiences here at UC Santa Barbara or make up our own questions. So, since there are none to start, we're gonna start off by talking about the academics here at UCSB. And first, Michael, do you want to talk about why you chose to be a political science major?
Yeah, so political science is always something that I've really been interested in here to kind of be involved in. Um, I took political science classes my first year, and I really enjoyed the professors and kind of the opportunities that they gave me in order to do like internships and kind of get involved and go into their office hours. And so I really felt like it was the right program for me, and it was something that I was really interested in, and I'm hoping to have a career in something that goes along those lines.
Yeah, and it's nice because you don't have to come in declared right away and know what you want to do. You don't actually have to declare your major until the end of your sophomore year, and the end of your second year. So I came in declared, I think, as sociology, and I ended up taking up classes and deciding I wanted to double major in political science and global studies. And even if you don't know what you want to do when you get to school here, we have really great career services and counseling, academic counseling, so you can go speak to someone, take different like personality quizzes to give you a better idea of maybe what fields you're interested in. So that's definitely a nice thing. What you put down as your major when you apply doesn't impact whether or not you will get into school here.
Unless you are applying for one of the for the majors. So if you're applying for the engineering college, you do actually have to choose a major, your first and second option. If you're looking at doing something like what we do in the humanities, the social sciences, or even in the hard sciences, like biology, chemistry, physics, you'll be in the College of Letters and Science, and you'll be able to, kind of grow as a person while you're here at UCSB and maybe change your interests. But in the College of Engineering, because there's, a certain amount of spaces that they have in each department and each major, you do actually have to decide a major and declare a major while you apply to UCSB. But the nice thing is if you're not accepted into one of the 5 engineering majors, which is computer science, electrical, mechanical, and chemical, the nice thing is you're not denied from the school, you're only denied from that college, and so you will be put into the pool of applicants for the College of Letters and Science, which is really nice.
Yeah, and within the College of Letters and Science, you have about 80 majors and 40 minors to choose from. So it's pretty flexible, and you can choose to double major or double minor. So yeah, there's a lot of options. Don't be worried about, what you want to study. So along with academics, we'll talk about class sizes. A typical question we get over at the Visitor Center is how big our class is. And I guess I'll start off by saying it kind of varies. The nice thing about UCSB is that you get kind of a big school, small school experience here. When you first start and you're taking your introduction classes like Psych 1 or Introduction to Sociology, your classes tend to be bigger, and they can range from around 400 to 800, which is kind of an intimidating number, but at the same time, you do have discussion sections once a week. So the way that it works is you have a lecture a few times a week taught by your professor, and then you have a discussion section, which is kind of smaller, more what you're used to in high school, taught by a teaching assistant who answers all your questions and typically is the one that grades your homework. So in that sense, it's not as intimidating in regards to big class sizes. And then as you get more and more into your major and you take more classes, your class sizes tend to get smaller, and you get to know the faculty a lot better. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, just really quick. She pretty much nailed it on the head, but UCSB has about 22,000 students. it sounds like a lot, but really we're a pretty intimate school in the sense that you do see familiar faces. I see Talia almost every single day around campus, and you see a lot of your other friends around campus too. So it's nice to be able to see familiar faces. It's not always new people, and then that's something that I really enjoyed about UCSB. But at the same time, there's 22,000 students, so there is the opportunity to kind of meet new friends too. So I think it's really the perfect balance of a pretty evenly sized school, medium sized school that I think a lot of students enjoy here. And also, too, we were talking about our majors. We're both political science, and she's also global studies, so we take very familiar class sizes. Um, but some majors, I have friends that are in particular majors like linguistics, or there are certain language majors, and they don't even have, we have sometimes, I have maybe 200 to 300 students in my class. They don't even sometimes go over 100. So like she said, it really just kind of depends on what major you're in and what classes you're in. And what we mean by classes, we're talking about usually your first 2 years you take what we call lower division courses, which are courses that are used for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes they're pre-major courses, which are courses that you need to get into your particular major. Sometimes they fit under GEs, which are general ed requirements that we still have to do, which are, your math, sciences, your arts, and stuff like that. Taking, under division courses to fill those requirements. And so once you kind of, when you're a junior, upperclassman, and you sort of figure out your major, like Talia mentioned, and you start to get in those specific classes, which we call those upper division courses because they have particular, focuses, and then they start to kind of, die down in size a little bit to smaller sizes. So.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a question asking, what do you do between classes? And the nice thing about college is compared to high school, you have the flexibility to plan out your own schedule. So if you're someone who really likes waking up early, you can take all 8 a.m. classes if you want to.
That's not me.
Or if you're someone who, you concentrate really well at one time and then you lose your focus, you could take back-to-back classes. So it kind of depends. Like for me, I prefer having back-to-back classes, but that isn't always how it works out. So if I have gaps between classes, I try to go to the library and get a lot of work done. Or we have a recreational center, so I'll go to the gym between classes if I have time. What else? What do you do?
I like going to the gym too. Rec center is a really good place to get a workout in. The university center is pretty cool too. Going there, they have a bunch of food places that are really nice to eat, especially if you're a freshman and you want to eat something else outside of the dining commons. You want to get some food like Panda Express or like chain places like that. So that's pretty cool. And also going to the bookstore and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. We got a question asking, what's the diversity like at the university? It's a good question. Michael, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll start off. So I actually did an interview for a graduate student here, and one thing he was actually telling me that I didn't know about the school is that UCSB is actually is the closely represented school in terms of diversity, in terms of comparing it to the demographics of California. And so I thought that was really interesting. So, there's a lot of different ethnicities here at UCSB, and, you do definitely see a lot of them on campus. So I would definitely say we're a pretty diverse school, and you can definitely find your niche of students depending on what your interests are. There's a lot of students with a lot of different interests, backgrounds, or, definitely stuff that you can get involved in with that. So.
Yeah, and along with that, like the slide we have up here, there's over 500 different student organizations, and those include a lot of different multicultural and different religious organizations. So there's really something for everyone here, and if there's not, you can probably create your own club, which is really cool. I personally am involved in Hillel, which is our Jewish student union organization, and it's just nice to have, we all have different interests, so there's different organizations that you can get involved with that you can really connect with. And along with that, do you want to talk about different organizations you're involved with?
I'm not too involved in too many organizations on campus, but I know a lot of my friends. One of my housemates is in KCSB, which is the radio station on campus,
cool.
which I always like to talk about. And something that I always like to mention, Daily Nexus too. My other roommate writes for the Daily Nexus, which is the newspaper on campus. And those are just a few of the many. What are some other ones?
Yeah, those are good.
Those are good ones.
Associated students. I know a lot of people in high school are involved in ASB, the student government, and we have that too in college. And through that, we have a lot of different organizations like the Environmental Affairs Board or Community Affairs Board, which deals with community service. You can also choose to become a senator and run for a presidential position. Right now, I'm actually going to be a campaign manager for our next president, so it should be really cool. Okay, we got a question, another question. How strong is the biology program? It's funny you asked that. I actually live with 4 girls who are all biology majors and in the pre-med track. So biology is is a major in the College of Letters and Science. So you can choose to come in and declare biology, or like we said before, you can take classes and then declare like by the end of your second year. And here we'll go to the research slide. Let's see where that is. All right there. So yeah, there's different pre-professional advisors too. We have a pre-med advisor. So if you are interested in going towards the pre-med track, you can meet with a pre-med advisor, and they'll kind of explain to you, which majors might be good to study, and what the timeline will be in terms of taking the MCAT, when to apply to medical school. So yeah, our school is a research university, so it is very focused on the sciences, which is great if that's what you're interested in. And it's pretty easy to get involved in research. We were just talking right before this about, do you want to tell them about Zach?
Yeah, Zach Cabin, I believe he was a bio major, but I'm not completely sure. He has been doing research with this professor that he was really close with since his sophomore year. And once he graduated, which was last year, right before he graduated, the professor that he was working with actually had a spot in his PhD program that he asked Zach to apply for, and he ended up doing it. And so he's here now in the PhD program. So you never know what kind of opportunities could kind of happen after doing research on campus.
Definitely. And going along with what we talked about with class sizes, sometimes it's hard when you come in as a freshman because you are overwhelmed, especially as a biology major, which is one of our most popular majors on campus. You might feel like, when you're in a class with 600 other students, you might not feel significant. And there's a lot of different ways that you can be proactive. And one of those is going to office hours. If you go to all professors are required a couple times a week to just literally sit in their office and have you come in and ask questions. And I have roommates who have done that every single week and gotten really close with their professors, and then they end up getting involved in research, which is really cool, and you can make a huge difference and get published. So that's awesome. All right, let's see more questions. Are there summer bridge programs for high school students? Great question. Yes, we have a really awesome program called the Freshman Summer Start Program. I participated in it.
I did the FSSP as well.
Yeah, it's called FSSP. It's awesome. It's basically a 6-week pre-freshman program. Anyone can sign up for it. And it was probably the best decision I've made since I've been at UCSB. All of my friends that I have now were the students that I met in Freshman Summer Start.
Too.
And everyone says that about Freshman Summer Start, which is great. And yeah, it's cool because you get to know the university before everyone else comes, because there's only about 400 students who participate in Freshman Summer Start. So it's nice. It's not as overwhelming. And by the time fall quarter rolls around, you feel like you know the school really well and you have your group of friends. And during that time, you are taking classes and living in the residence halls and eating in the dining commons. So yeah, it's a good time. All right, more questions. What is residential life like? How nice is the housing? And then, okay, yeah, so let me go to our housing slide. Like it says here, there is 4-year housing guarantee for freshmen in 8 residence halls and 3 UCSB apartments, and a 2-year housing guarantee for transfer students. So I lived in the dorms my freshman year, as did Michael.
Yeah.
About 96% of freshmen choose to live in the residence halls. And it's an awesome experience. That's basically where you meet most of your friends. Yeah, I lived in San Nicolas, which is one of the 8-story residence halls, and I really liked it.
And I lived in San Catalina, which is technically on West Campus, so it's about a 10-minute bike ride from campus. And it's a little bit of a different feel. 1/3 of the freshman class lives in that dorm too. But it's unlike Talia's dorm, where she she could wake up 5 minutes before class
Oh, and I
and
did.
walk over to her classes. I had to wake up, at least 10 to 15 minutes early because I had to get on my bike. But I loved my dorm. One thing about San Catalina out of the freshman dorms is that you get your own bathroom in the sense that you share it with your roommates. And so it's suite style, so it's either two or three in one room with a bathroom connecting, and you share it with two or three, depending on which one has two or three. So it'd be five in total. So I really enjoyed it. There was a dining common there too, so it was a little bit off campus and a little bit of a bike ride, but it's 1.2 miles off campus, so it was a good bike ride. Got some good
There's
exercise.
a bus too.
There's a bus too, and the weather's usually really nice, so usually don't have any problems with that. So it's usually
Yeah.
a pretty nice bike ride. So.
And then in terms of, your second, third, and fourth year, it's up to you. A lot of students do choose to stay on campus and live in the residence halls and then go on to live in university-owned apartments. And then a lot of students also choose to live in Isla Vista, which is our 1 square mile neighboring college town. So there are a lot of options. All right, more questions. We did have a question about Greek life. Do you want to start answering that?
No, I think
Okay, I'll
you're
answer
probably better with
that. Yeah, so we do about 10 to 12% of our students participate in the Greek system, which is kind of a nice number because if you're interested in rushing a sorority or a fraternity, it's there for you. But if you're not, it's not that big of a deal because it does only represent a small community on campus. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. And the people that are involved really do love it. I'm not personally in a sorority because I participated in the freshman summer start program. I didn't really feel the need because I already had a good group of friends. But I would say about half of my friends are in sororities or fraternities and they really enjoy it. We also have pre-professional fraternities and sororities. So if you're pre-med, you could join the pre-med fraternity. Or if you're interested in going to law school, there's a pre-law fraternity. So it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always the common misconception that, with sororities and fraternities are only social ones, but we do have those professional ones too. Like she mentioned, the pre-med one. I have actually my freshman year, 3 out of the 4 people I lived are in the pre-med fraternity. It's co-ed too, so and so there's a bunch of different options. Not only social ones but professional ones too. And kind of like Talia mentioned, but the way I like to kind of sum it up is, Greek life is big enough here enough to find a house that fits your particular interests and that you can call home, but it's not big enough on campus where it completely consumes life. Like, you don't need to be in Greek life, but it's definitely big enough where a lot of students are involved in it and a lot of students love it. So it's a really good balance.
Yeah. And then another question came in asking, what do we do on the weekends here? And to be honest, a lot of what we do on the weekends is we're in the library because we are students. So we do actually have to study a lot. And then the nice thing about going to school here is we live by a beach. So I'm from Northern California. I've never lived by an ocean in my whole entire life. And I came here and now I surf like every single weekend. We live by the mountains too, so you could go hiking. So just like it's so great where we live, the fact that we have a lot of opportunities to take advantage of our environment and be outside, which is great. And we got a question, more academic. How specific, in the College of Engineering, is it more selective with major? Yes. So like we said, in the College of Letters and Science, what you put down as a major when you apply doesn't necessarily affect whether or not you'll be admitted. But in the College of Engineering, it is very specific because they're admitting you based on what major you put down. So if you are considering engineering, definitely apply for the specific major you're interested in.
Yeah, because kind of how she mentioned, each major only has certain lab spots and class spots that they can kind of fill up a classroom with. So in terms of what she mentioned, College of Letters and of Engineering, you do have to have a specific major that you list and your first and second option. But like we mentioned before, if you're not accepted directly into the engineering college, you're not denied from the school, you're only denied from that college. So you can be a student at UCSB, it would just be in the College of Letters and Science. So.
Cool. Okay, why don't we talk about transportation? Let's learn the transportation side. So our main form of transportation here is bikes. Yeah. It's kind of funny because I hadn't used a bike before I came here since I was like a little kid. But yeah, we actually have over 7 miles of bike paths and over 15,000 registered bikes. So if you don't know how to ride a bike and you want to come here, you'll learn. And it's nice because our campus is mid-sized, so I like to tell people to get from one side of campus to the other. It only takes you less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And biking definitely makes it go by faster. Biking, it takes like 2 minutes. So it's a walkable campus for sure. And it's pretty flat, so it's not too strenuous.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to skateboard, which is cool.
Skateboarding is cool too.
Yeah, some like to ride on scooters. Not very many. What else? Keep asking us questions. This is so fun. Is public transportation, train, bus, easily acceptable? Yeah, great question.
Yeah. So my freshman year, I just recently got a car, so I drive back and forth home. I'm from the Inland Empire, so Southern California. But freshman year, I didn't have a car, so I was taking a lot of the transportation. Pretty much for buses around Santa Barbara, we get a bus sticker, which goes on our access card, which is pretty much our student ID. It's free for all students. And so pretty much you just put that on the beginning, you go get it in the, what is it, Associated Students Office, and you can take any bus in the Goleta and Santa Barbara area for free. And that's really useful, especially if you don't have a car your first year, you want to go to downtown Santa Barbara. There's an express bus which takes you there in 20 minutes, which is really popular to go visit on the weekends.
Yeah.
Other than that, the Amtrak's also really popular. If you don't have a car, you want to go home for the weekend, if you live in the Bay Area. It's only about 5 to 7 minutes away from car getting dropped off, or you could take the bus, the Goleta Amtrak station, or you can go back down to like Los Angeles too. So if you want to go home on the weekends, that's definitely it's easy and it's pretty affordable
Yeah.
too.
Not just that, we actually have an airport literally like 5 minutes walking distance from campus. So if you are out of state, that's a really nice option.
I had a good friend from Dallas, Texas, and she used to take the Santa Barbara airport too. So it's on the way to Texas.
Yeah, and in terms like what Michael was saying about buses, and from my freshman year, because the majority of your life freshman year is on campus, because you're living on campus, you're eating on campus, you're taking classes on campus, so you don't really need a car for anything, except it is nice having the public transportation system, because like I remember we'd go to the movies a lot on the weekends, or go shopping. Downtown State Street is a really popular area of Santa Barbara, and they have like basically any single store you can imagine. So yeah, it's nice because there is a community on campus and you feel like your life is there, which is the great thing about UC Santa Barbara. But if you do want to get out and see other cities, it's definitely possible. Okay, what next? Question: are there parties? Are they fun and safe? Yeah, definitely. Like any other university or college that you go to, you will see partying on campus. But it's totally up to you if you want to participate in that or not. And there are different kinds of socials. The great thing about Associated Students, the student government we talked about on campus, is they provide a lot of social events, cool concerts. They bring in really famous people. So yeah, there's a lot of different social activities to get involved in campus in regards to what you're comfortable and safe doing. If you have a C in a class first semester but then get a B or higher in the second class, should that be explained in the personal statement? Yeah, there's a section of the personal statement I remember where you could.
Yeah.
It was like explain anything else or add a comment. So if you wanted to do that, I suppose you could, especially maybe if you something happened family-wise or you were going through a hardship and that explains the decrease in your GPA, that's definitely something to mention. Yeah, good questions. Okay, what else can we tell you about? Food? Should we talk about food?
We can talk about the dining commons.
Yeah, let's talk about the dining commons.
It's been a while since I've been in them, but I remember there's 4 dining commons on campus. There's Carrillo, there's DLG, Ortega, and Portola. Portola is actually connected. It's on West Campus, so it's right underneath where my freshman dorm was, which is San Catalina, which is about a 5 to 10 minute bike ride off campus. But the other 3 are located right conveniently on campus, so you can go to all 4 of them. They go by swipes now, which is super useful. My freshman year, they went by meal, so if you swiped in somewhere and you didn't like the food and you were like, oh, well, I want to go somewhere else, you were kind of stuck there, but now you can kind of swipe in and out, which I think is super
That's cool.
convenient. Yeah. And also, too, in Ortega now, they actually let you take out food if you have, like, only a small time in between classes, and they'll let you get a takeout box, which is super good, cool. But the food in general on campus, It's really good. And the one thing that I
We're
like
not
is,
just saying that, like, it
yeah,
actually
it
is
is
really
really good.
good.
I actually have an off-campus meal plan, my sophomore and
I
junior
did
year.
too.
So,
Yeah.
if that doesn't prove that, the food's good, if we go back when we
We
don't
went
need
back.
to,
We chose to
we
eat in the
chose to go
dining
back.
commons.
So,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
But one thing I do like about the dining commons is that each one kind of specializes in its own certain food on certain nights, and they're each pretty diverse. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
they all have the same basic stuff for kind of, for any student to kind of get, and so they don't have to go to any particular one. But they do like to specialize on certain nights, which makes it pretty interesting and fun. And all the meals up to like the next 2 weeks in advance are online,
Online,
so
yeah.
you can go and pick and choose with your friends where you want to eat, which is super cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. And if you're a vegetarian, they have vegetarian and vegan options. And they also try to buy like local and organic food, which is really nice. So you end up eating a lot healthier than, sometimes you hear about with the whole freshman 15 thing. Okay, should we talk about study abroad?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
study abroad is a really cool opportunity that both Michael and I enjoy very much. So we have a program here called the Education Abroad Program. So if any of you are ever interested in traveling to a different country, you can do that here and study and get units for it. If you're on financial aid, all your financial aid transfers over. So it's a really cool opportunity. It's basically like studying here, but being in a different country. So I actually just got back from Madrid, Spain this past semester. I took like 5 different political science courses, all taught in Spanish. So it was a really cool opportunity. Yeah,
That's
it
pretty
was
cool.
crazy.
That is
And I'd never
crazy.
been to Europe before, so that was cool too because it gave me the opportunity to travel. Um, so yeah, and it actually ended up helping me. Some people like have concerns about studying abroad because they think it can't fit into their schedule. But I actually ended up taking 22 and a half units there, which I got a semester worth of units in a quarter. And then Michael, tell us about your study abroad.
So I studied abroad twice. The first time I went from my sophomore year going into my junior year, I went to London, which is where my family is from. So I got to see, and that was 2012. So I was there during the Olympics, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
The year after that, I went to Kyoto, Japan, which was super cool. I took political science classes. You could take classes for your majors. You could take GEs, so that's really useful too. That depending on what school you go to or what college you go to in the country that you go to in the city, there's a lot of variables there. But you can take GEs or you can take major courses, and you never know the opportunities that you can kind of get from studying abroad. One thing that I was able to do was from studying abroad, I gained a close relationship with professors there, and I was able to get an internship this last summer going back to Japan. And they also wrote the letter of recommendation that I used in order to apply for the JET program, which I'll be finding about soon. So you'll never.
Explain what that is.
Oh, so teaching English in Japan. And so I'm hoping to go back next year and teach English either in Japan or Korea. And since I was able to study abroad in Japan, I was able to get really good recommendations. So you never know about not only the cool things that you get to see. I climbed Mount Fuji. Did you go anywhere really cool?
Yeah, I mean,
You
I
were
could
in
spend
Europe, so
hours talking
you're
to you
in
about
Europe.
that. Yeah.
We could go hours and hours on
Yeah.
that, but I mean, we both not only got to see and experience pretty unforgettable things, but we also were able to gain connections while we were studying abroad too,
Right. Yeah.
which I think is super cool.
Yeah. Okay, we have a question saying, is there an honors college or program? Yes, we do have an honors program. I'm actually a student in the honors program, and there's 2 different ways that you could get admitted. First, if you are within the top 10% of applicants, you will automatically be invited to be a participant in the honors program. If you're not part of those, after your second or third year, if you've maintained higher than a GPA of 3.6 GPA, you can apply to be in the honors program. So there are a lot of benefits of being in the honors program. One of which is you get to choose your classes a week before everyone else, which might not, yeah, it might not seem like a big deal, but it's really nice because you have no worries about getting into classes. You're also required to take a certain number of honors seminars or honors sections, and in those, the way it works is most sections, discussion sections, like we told you about before, they're taught by a teacher's assistant. But if you're in the honors program, a lot of those discussion sections are taught by your professors. So it's really cool because you're getting to know the faculty really, really well. not just that, but there's also something called honors contracts. So, for example, right now in one of my political science classes, I have an honors contract with my professor where I agree to go to his office hours every week, do additional reading, and then I have to write like a long essay at the end of the quarter. So it's cool because I'm getting to really know the faculty, which again makes the big school seem a lot smaller. Yeah. So, if you aren't admitted as an honors student, I wasn't, you can keep up your GPA and apply, and it's definitely worth it. Also, not just that, it kind of puts a pressure on you to like continue to keep up your GPA.
And that's always nice.
And that's always nice, yeah. Yeah, great question. All right, should we talk about sports?
Yeah, we can do some sports.
Michael loves talking about sports.
So, I ran on the track and field team here. So I was a Division I athlete, but sports here are really big here at UCSB. We have a bunch of different levels in which you can get involved in at sports here at UCSB. Go Gauchos. Our school mascot's the Gauchos, if you don't know. Which I think we're the only school in the nation to have the Gaucho mascot.
What is a Gaucho? Cool. I have no idea.
Do you not? No, I'm just kidding. Everyone asks that every time they come on our tours. So a Gaucho is a South American cowboy. So
yeah,
an
Argentinian cowboy,
to be specific. Yeah, and so it's pretty unique. You can hold that aside.
Yeah, go Gauchos.
So the nice thing about sports here is a lot of students like to stay active and fit. The intramural level is a really cool level to play at if you enjoy playing a certain sport, but you don't want it too much of a time commitment. So let's say if you have a paper or a midterm the next day and you have like a game or a match or whatever sport you're playing, there's no one there telling you, hey, you have to go. It's all up to you. You schedule your own practice time. So it's just really a good way to kind of, meet new people and play the sport you love with maybe good friends while still staying in shape. So I definitely recommend that for any student that's really into sports.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super cool. Club sports is the higher level above intramurals. That's a little bit different because you actually represent UCSB as a school. So you actually travel and host competitions and you actually try out for the team. The only difference is there's no athletic scholarships at that level. So a lot of the money that they use for travel is, usually paid for. The school does give a little money to them from what I know. But a lot of that they do is, through fundraisers and stuff like that in order to travel around. And so that's a little bit more of a time commitment because you have, mandatory practices. So it's a little bit different. There's some sports at that level that aren't on the others, like lacrosse,
field
rugby, field hockey,
yeah.
Rowing's on that level. And those are some really big ones there. I know there are a few others. And also, too, a really cool way of getting, like, let's say you were really good at, like, soccer, like you're a women's soccer player, and so, or a men's soccer player, and we have a really good men's and women's soccer team here, but you're still really good. A good way of still being able to play at a competitive level, but maybe not D1, is to play through the club level,
sports,
which is pretty useful. And then the highest is Division I. We talked about it. Our school mascot's the Gauchos. We're in the Big West Conference, so some of the schools that are in our conference are some of the smaller UCs like Davis, Irvine, but we also have some of the Cal States like Long Beach State, Cal State Northridge, Cal State Fullerton, and UC Riverside's also in there too. And so all of them are predominantly California schools. And we have 20 sports that range, 10 from the men's to 10 from the females. And, we don't have a football team here. I know a lot of students are like, oh, I want to go to a football. Yeah. It's part of the college experience. But one way we try to make up for that is through soccer, particularly men's soccer. We actually had the most students ever to go to a collegiate soccer game. Were you at that game? It was 2 years ago. It was against Stanford. And so we had like 15,000 or 14,000 students show up, which is pretty crazy for a soccer game. Out of the 22,000, that's a big, chunk of our student population going to show support.
Yeah. If you aren't a soccer fan now, you will be.
You will be.
Get here.
Our school tradition is that we throw tortillas onto the field. So anytime we score a goal or if there's like an opposing player too close to the student section, they throw tortillas onto the field, which is super cool. It's a cool tradition.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, and not just that, but there are also other ways to stay active on campus. Like we've talked about, our recreational center offers different leisure and review classes. So for example, I've taken like yoga group classes every single quarter since I've been here. And also cycling, spin classes. So those are other ways, and you can actually take classes and get credit for it. So you could take like a intermediate basketball class and get a half a unit, which is cool because it like motivates you to go to the gym and work out, and then you're also benefiting academically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty awesome. All right, should we talk about CLES?
Yeah, you should start.
And we have a
Oh,
question.
we have a question.
Let's see. Are sports mandatory for credit? No. You can
Maybe.
take. No, I don't think they
No,
are.
they're not mandatory for credit. Sorry if we didn't make that like.
Yeah, you can. They're available to take them.
Yeah.
They're under. It's called exercise sport, and they're only a half a unit. Normally classes are 4 units, so it's kind of just more for fun.
Yeah, and so usually you only go maybe once or twice a week for those classes for like
Yeah.
50 minutes. So they're not really mandatory or anything like that. We're just kind of giving examples of ways to kind of stay in shape and stay healthy on campus and get involved through sports. So.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously going from high school to college, there's a lot of changes that come with that in terms of, classes are different, studying's different, and that can be overwhelming at first. So one of the great resources we have here is called CLAS. It's free tutoring on campus, and I've used that definitely my first 2 years, and it's awesome because if you're in like a math class and you're having a hard time, it's like a complimentary class that goes along with it that meets probably 2 or 3 times a week. Your tutor also is involved with lecture and with your professor. So it's very complimentary and it's free, which is great. Yeah. One of my roommates actually is a tutor through CLAS, so you could actually go on to do that. But it's nice too, like if you have an essay and you want someone to go edit it,
yeah.
you can get that done. Or if you're having difficulty in like Spanish, I've gone to CLAS. So there are classes that you can take, that you can sign up for, but there are also like drop-in that you can do. And CLAS is located in a building called the Student Resource Building, which is another building along with the library where you can study in, and there's different organizations located there to help you, such as the Women's Center, the Disabled Students Program. So there are a lot of, when you go to a big university, there's a lot of benefits that come with tuition that you're paying for that you can take advantage of, such as free tutoring, other things like that.
Hey, there was actually a really cool question I think we missed.
Oh,
it was,
okay.
How easy is it to form a club on campus?
Did we answer that? No, we haven't.
Okay, cool. So we kind of already talked about clubs, but just a brief, going back over that. We have 500 clubs on campus, so we do have, a pretty huge range of clubs already. So if you don't have a club that fits or an interest that already fits a club, it's really easy to kind of go out and make your own. Essentially, all you need is a professor and 2 other students in order to make the club, and you can sign off there, which is really super cool. We actually have a friend who made a club. I don't know if you know this, Evan. He created the aviation club on campus, and because he's a pilot, and so him and some of his friends go down to the Santa Barbara airport and they fly some of their planes, which is really cool.
That's so cool.
It's really easy to make clubs on campus. I know a few students actually have made their own clubs on campus, but we do have 500 of them, so we do encourage you to look on Student Life's website to see if your club or your interest is on there. But if it's not, it's definitely easy to make your own club.
Yeah. There's also a club called the Costco Club.
I
think it's so cool, where you can literally join, and all that they do is they have Costco cards, and they go to Costco and eat the samples. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So, but like for example, you could come and start a club like the Costco Club. There's definitely a wide range of things that you could do. Okay, we had another interesting question. Is there a welding class? I don't think so. I've never heard of that. Through the Leisure and Review program that I talked about before, you could take exercise classes. There's also a wide range of classes you could take. Like there's a pottery class. You could also take like guitar, belly dancing. So not just like exercise classes, but other different hobbies types classes. What else could we talk about? Let's talk about career services.
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, so A great thing about our university is we're one of the only few four-year universities in the area. So all these big companies who need future employees, they are crazy for UCSB students, which is awesome for us. And if you're interested in getting a job or an internship, it's pretty easy. We have counseling and career services here, and you can go in and like my freshman year, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I went in and I took a personality test, and it cost like $10 or something, and it kind of told me like which jobs I'd be suited for, and they also have like listings of all the different job opportunities in the area, which are great.
Another thing too is they actually do interview practices with you too. So if you want to, they can come and do mock interviews with you, help you prepare for them, and which is really cool and really useful, especially for seniors like myself, to be able to go in there and get interview tips before we kind of, go on that journey of starting to look for post-college jobs is really, useful and stress relieving
Yeah,
resource.
you don't realize how useful it is. I have two older brothers, and they were actually talking about paying to have someone do that for them, to look over their resume and cover letters and go through that process, and that's offered to you through the universities. So yeah, I actually go in there all the time to get my resume looked at and edited. So it's definitely really helpful. And then I guess we'll just talk about working on campus. And then along with this, I like this question because it says how much time?
Wait, hold on. The music program one. Any cool
Okay,
music clubs? Okay, the only reason why I want to say this is because there's a tour guide. His name is Evan Perlman, I believe. He is in this club. I don't know what the name of the club is exactly, but what they do is anyone who plays instruments is a club that pretty much goes to like hospitals and retirement homes, and they
nice.
play music, at those retirement homes and at those hospitals. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. So I remember when he told me that, that's always something I say on my tour. So when I saw that music program here is really good too.
Yeah, you can major in music.
Yeah, and also too, if you have no music experience, I took a few classes in learning how to
Me too.
music theory. You did?
Yeah.
What did you take?
Yeah, I took music appreciation.
Yeah, music
So
appreciation.
through your general ed requirements, even if you don't you only choose one major, but you can still take music classes, bio classes, political science classes. So yeah, the music I've taken like 3 or 4 music classes actually.
Yeah, me too. Fundamentals of music, which kind of teaches you how to read notes and stuff like that. And then also too, if you know how to play an instrument, they have particular classes for almost every instrument that's known essentially. So it's really useful to kind of be able to take theory classes as well as being able to do practical classes as well. So
Cool. Okay, so we got a question saying, how much time would you say you dedicate to activities outside of school and sleep? That's a really good question because I think one of the hardest things, like at any age, is learning how to balance school with work, with social life, with after-school activities, along with studying. So that's definitely something you learn to do here. And I would say I really like it here because I've been able to find a good balance. I get probably 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. And I'm in 4 classes and I'm working 10 hours a week. And I'm still able to, do my homework and be involved in different organizations without feeling too stressed. And a lot of that comes you learn a lot about time management when you're in college. For me, I definitely feel like the more scheduled I am, the less time I have to procrastinate. But yeah, you definitely do have to study a lot. And that's a big part of your time. It's different. College, I would say, is different than high school in the sense that you're doing less homework, busy work, and more literally studying and reading. So in that sense, you have to learn how to budget your time because you're not necessarily assigned homework every day. You kind of have to keep up and take the initiative on your own.
yeah, it's definitely being where we are on campus in terms of being near the beach, like 5-minute walk from most places on campus. It could definitely be a distraction, wanting to hang out at the beach. The weather is really nice, and maybe your first year or so, you might have some difficulties. I had difficulties when I was running, track and field on a scholarship, managing my time because I was dedicating, 2 to 3 hours a day with that, along with school. But like you said, you learn when as you're starting to get older and as you've gone through. We go on the quarter system, so you go through 3 quarters a year, so you start to pick it up really quickly. Because the quarter system goes by so quickly.
It's about 10 weeks.
It's 10 weeks. You usually get your midterms, week 3.
So you
And
can
so
procrastinate,
week 3 to
which is
week
good.
5, yeah, week 3 to week 5. So yeah, it keeps you on your heels, and it kind of forces you to kind of, gain better study habits. Because
Yeah.
UCSB is definitely a pretty rigorous academic school. I mean, obviously it has a lot of different stuff going for it. The campus is nice, and there's a lot of really sociable people there, but the academics are, you can't slack off on them for sure. So
Yeah, and just going off what Michael said, I would say actually the location of our campus has honestly made me less stressed, if anything. The ocean, like scientifically proven, is supposed to relax your mind. So, yeah, I mean, you could look at it as a distraction, but you could also look at it as a positive break from your homework.
true.
Like on the library, you literally get an ocean view, so there's really not a lot to complain
That's
about.
true. If you ever come to our campus, go on the 8th floor of our library. We have a whole like panoramic, really scenic view of the whole Santa Barbara area, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, other questions. Sorry for this. Let's switch up the slides. Okay, we have a lot of questions coming in about average SAT scores and GPAs, and I would definitely recommend everyone. Let's see, all of the this website right here, admissions.ucsb.edu, has all of the information about what our average scores are. So if you do have any particular questions like that, definitely go on that. And then we also had a question, interesting one, about do investment banks typically recruit from UCSB? Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are econ and financial math majors, and they recently have been interviewing a lot for investment banks around the area. So yeah, totally. We also have a really cool program called the Technology Management Program. We don't have a business major here necessarily, but the Technology Management Program is a business certificate program where you could take different business classes that are really cool, and oftentimes different corporations or company or investment bankers in the area come and speak to the students. So yeah, that in itself is a really cool opportunity. Good question.
Yeah. Just to kind of touch up on that though, before we finish up.
Yeah.
I'm a senior, so I actually know a lot of friends that have, been going through well, I guess you're a junior too, so a lot of your friends are going through it too. They're interviewing, but I actually have 2 or 3 friends that have already lined up jobs for post college through investment banking, because they do a lot of the recruitment here. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities to get involved in that and to get jobs in that area too post.
Yeah, and just going off that, like it says here, the average time to graduate is 4 years. A lot of our students actually graduate early. I think I'm double majoring, and I think I'm able to graduate a quarter early if I want to. So there's no problem with graduating on time. I know a lot of concerns come with big school. Is it hard to get into classes? And I typically tell visitors that, like, getting into classes, you might get into the 10 a.m. The 8 a.m. section instead of the 10 a.m. So it really isn't hard to get into the classes that you need. And if you can't get into a class, you can typically take it the next quarter. So yeah, graduating on time, even with a double major, is doable. And typically the people who don't graduate on time, it's because they've like changed their major so many times, or they changed their major too late in the game. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about. And then, let's see, we only have a few more minutes, so if you have any other questions, get them in now. Michael, would you like to add anything? I guess before we close, we could also talk about how are sports? Well, we talked about sports for a while, but Michael, do you want to just give a brief 10 seconds?
10 seconds. So there's a lot of ways to get involved here in sports. There's Division One. We're in the Big West Conference. There's 20 sports for that. Most students there are on scholarship or have been recruited. Level above that is club sports, so it's a little bit less competitive than Division One, but you do have to try out for the team, but you do get to travel and host competitions, which is really cool. So if you want to stay competitive, and then intramural, which is the lowest level, which are just kind of a way to kind of stay in shape and play a sport that you enjoy playing. So those are pretty much the 3 levels of sports that you can kind of get involved on, as well as classes, which we talked about, plus leisurely review. So,
Good. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
okay. So, but I guess while questions are coming in, we can talk about why we chose to come to UCSB. Do you want to start, Michael?
I think you should start.
Okay, I'll
Ladies
start.
first.
Wow, you're so sweet. Okay, well, for me, I guess my first initial connection with UCSB was I had an older brother that went here, so I right away knew a lot about the university. And then the location in itself was like, oh, I remember visiting the school and standing at the residence halls and looking out at the ocean, and I was like, how could you not want to go to a school with a view like this? But, you know, in retrospect, I was the kind of student who I felt like no matter where I went to school, I'd be happy. But now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, I can imagine going anywhere else. And for me, I went to a high school that was actually very rigorous. You were kind of expected to take all APs and be in varsity sports, and go on to a really great university. So I was pretty stressed, like I'm sure many of you feel, you know, being in high school, it's hard, and there's a lot of pressure on you in so many different aspects. So I remember feeling like I didn't want to spend 4 years of high school being stressed and anxious to just go on and spend another 4 years at a university where the environment was the same as the one I went to high school in. So UCSB really appealed to me because I felt like the students cared about their academics and really wanted to go places in life and were hardworking, but they were also happy and friendly and nice to be around. And I've definitely found that for myself while I'm here. I'm getting awesome grades, but I'm also, you know, involved in a bunch of different things, and I'm active. And I would say I am incredibly happy going to school here. So, yeah, that's my response.
My response, so I actually got recruited here to run track and field, but, you know, going into my senior year, I was really looking to leave state. But my mom really loves the Santa Barbara area. She has a lot of friends here, so she said, let's take a campus tour. I ended up taking the campus tour, even though I didn't want to, and ended up falling in love with the school. Like she said, the campus, meeting some of the students there, it just really felt right. And one thing I always want to recommend, whether you choose UCSB or another school, we hope you choose UCSB, but we kind of want you to kind of go with a school that, you know, where you feel like where your heart is and where you feel like you're going to be happy at. So we definitely recommend that you come visit UCSB and take a campus tour so you can meet some of our students to
And meet us.
yeah, because we're tour guides too, to make sure, you know, this is the right school for you. And, you know, I wasn't really looking at going to UCSB before I took a campus tour, and so coming here and taking a campus tour, getting to meet, you know, some of the faculty too. I got to meet some professors while I was here, and some of the students, and seeing the campus, you know, it really kind of, you know, felt like the right decision, and, you know, it was really the gut feeling. And so this was also the best academic school I was able to get into too. So it was really a good balance of location, academics, it feeling right on my campus visit, and, you know, I don't regret it at all. And can't believe it's already 4 years and I'm getting ready to leave. And you're going to be a senior, so I definitely don't regret it at all. Best decision of my life, and, you know, proud to be a Gaucho. So.
Yeah, definitely. I would have to agree. And I think just to add one more thing before we conclude, when you're applying to schools, I think it's definitely important to picture what your life is going to be like on an everyday basis, because you kind of imagine college. But even choosing something like the weather here is pretty awesome, and you don't realize how much that affects your mood. And going to school where the students are obviously very happy affects your happiness. So that's definitely something to think about when you're choosing colleges. So yeah, to conclude, thank you guys so much for joining us this past 45 minutes hour. We had a lot of fun with you, and no matter where you end up at school, good luck with the admissions process. If you have any other questions, definitely use these resources. And yeah, good luck to all of you. It was so great talking to you, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Go Gauchos!
Go Gauchos!